I'm gonna die. I'm gonna die historic on the Fury Road.
Welcome back to another episode of the Esperos Podcast.
Hello, hello.
I'm Armando,
I am Aaron.
and we're going over Mad Max Fury Road.
Mad Max Fury Road.
Yeah, I am a huge fan of the film. It always tickles my junk about the modern or the practical effects.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
love
yeah, yeah.
when they can utilize not using CGI. That's always going to be my favorite. They did a fantastic job with this.
Every time I watch that movie, I forget how much I love it.
Yeah, dude. I mean,
I watch it again and again.
it's really hard to find a scene that I think is bad. I love how they also interject parts of like the original Mad Max series into it as well.
Yeah.
It's not really in the same storyline as the original Mad Max. There's some variances that make it kind of improbable for that to happen. But regardless, within a Mad Max universe, I think personally that it's pretty good.
I think so too.
Yeah,
I think so too.
I really like the desert scenes. I think that because we
Lot
saw
of
it,
sand.
we saw it in Chrome.
We did see, but not originally.
No,
I've
no.
seen it many times, and then recently we watched it together in the black and chrome edition, which I thought was cool for some scenes, but overall, I prefer the colored one.
Yeah, the color one
Yeah.
looks cooler just because
Definitely.
some of those desert scenes are just really nice to have in color.
Yes.
I mean, it'd be maybe if they came out with a black and white Dune, I might see that. Like if they had a black and white Dune, but I don't know if I'd like it more because there's some scenes that just look so good the way they are.
Especially with how everything has been on Arrakis, and then you go to Getty Prime, that contrast of it then being black and white, I think that's perfect.
May thy knife chip and shatter.
Yeah, I also think that if you're gonna have a movie in black and white, this is why Godzilla minus zero minus color worked out so well.
When it's -1.
-1 minus color is because there was things in the background. If you're just doing a desert planet in black and white,
Yeah. Maybe that's what it is.
I think that might be the problem.
Maybe that's what it is.
Because otherwise, everything else is fantastic, and I wish they gave Tom Hardy more lines.
Do you know how many lines he has?
Yeah, 64 or something like that.
Really? Oh, well, that's probably including the grunts. Minus the grunts, it is 52.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Okay, yeah, I think mine is also including the grunts.
Okay,
I think
okay.
the video I watched specifically said that it was including the grunts, so he talks very little.
So little. So little.
And it makes sense because that they gave. I mean, the whole story is basically based around Furiosa, which is
Yeah.
interesting because I watched a little video about some comics prior to this event.
Okay.
And so whatever the big dude with because he's got Immortan Joe has two sons.
Yes.
The little crippled kid that's in the floating egg.
Yeah.
And then the big
I don't know if he's
berserker.
a kid. He's got a full-on beard.
Yeah, and he's probably. I mean, they insinuate he's a pedophile because he's just hanging around all the little boys.
Yeah, they do insinuate that.
They really do. And so they say, tell me you're a pedophile without telling me you're a pedophile, and just boys. And
His
so-
name, completely unrelated, is actually Daniel Schneider. It's
Yeah,
weird.
Yeah,
it's
that-
weird.
That is actually completely unrelated. Completely unrelated.
That's his character name. I don't know.
yeah.
I saw it
Yeah.
on Wikipedia once.
Yeah, I have there's a Twitch stream he does where his name is Diddy. I don't know. Anyway. But yeah, apparently in real life that guy actually has the brittle bone disease from.
Yeah, I didn't think that was a CGI or prosthetics.
No,
I thought-
no. They didn't
Yeah,
use
that
any
was
of
a real.
But like,
that was a real person.
yeah, but like
Yeah.
him specifically, the actual guy
Yeah.
actually has that brittle bone disease and stuff like that.
Interesting.
So yeah, it's like it's interesting. So they found a real handicap for it. But
Wow, they did the Breaking Bad thing.
they did the Breaking Bad thing. Actually, I don't know if he actually has that.
Yeah, Walt Jr. has cerebral palsy.
I don't know if he actually has that.
I'm pretty sure.
I need to Google that. We can fact check that. I got a few things to say, so you go ahead and Google
Okay.
it.
No, I have
don't
no-
go-
I have
that's
nothing to
fine,
Google.
that's fine. We'll find
We can
out.
Google it later.
We'll circle
Well,
back.
actually,
I'll drop it in the
I
comments.
am going to say that it is 100% fact, and if anybody would like to correct me, I dare you to.
Don't worry, fan
Cowards.
base. Don't worry, fan base.
I dare you to.
I will correct him.
Cowards.
I really like some of the parts of this movie where they do a good job with getting the characters to go in the same. Like, I don't know. I think because sometimes you can have characters that I don't think act the way they should,
Yeah.
and these characters did. The storyline prior to this is that the big guy. He has the mind of a child, and so he can't
saw that.
control himself around the wives, and so he just goes after them.
Interesting.
Furiosa ends up actually standing outside their tomb, keeping guard, so that he doesn't. I mean, because he'll kill them, and so like it's a little different than a Morton Joe who's trying to make a son. That guy's just a wild Neanderthal who will just So.
That's some character building.
Yeah, Furiosa stands guard outside of the vault that the ladies are staying in. And then I forget what it is. I forget all the details of it, but what ends up happening eventually is there is a night that they have that's terrible with a Morton Joe. All the wives, he just goes in there and just uses them.
Okay.
Just uses them. Pumps and dumps, dude. And then, and it's probably violent because that's the Morton Joe. And one of the wives comes out of the hole and he starts yelling at Furiosa, saying like, "Why aren't you protecting us from all this stuff? And like, why do you let us just have this? Why are you just sitting out here doing that nothing while this is happening to us in there and stuff?"
Damn.
And
Heavy.
Yeah, and Furiosa, she's like, she doesn't respond or anything like that. She just sits there and takes it. But you can, like, I guess in the comic, it kind of makes it seem like she's, that's a low blow. You don't understand why I'm out here, so you don't get murdered. It's like, it's either you get, graped in by a Morton Joe, or you're getting murdered. Okay, like you can
legitimately
yeah.
murdered.
What do you want me to do? And so that's basically what she's stuck between the rock and a hard spot. And so that's kind of like the build up behind. Oh, and I guess there's a scene also in the comics where she goes into the vault and yells at the wives because they're like, she's like, "You have no idea what's going on out in the real world. People have no water. People have no food. People are killing each other. You ladies are just stuck in this vault here where you have all your needs met at every waking call. And then you go through this thing. Obviously, it's not good. But she's basically saying, she's like, don't forget how much worse it could potentially be." And that's Furiosa's point. But basically, she becomes the leader that takes them out. And that's where we pick up in the story.
Okay.
So...
interesting.
Yeah, it's like I didn't know that, and so watching a couple of dude, if you just type into YouTube Shorts, Mad Max Fury Road breakdown, you will find all sorts of weird
that's beautiful.
stuff. Yeah,
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
I love the modern age.
Yeah, yeah. So it's nice to have that character. I just think they do the world building well. They do it all.
Definitely agree with you on that.
Even some of those shots, they're just so unique. They're so unique.
I did find out that it was shot in sequence, and so I definitely. It helps to drive it home of more of like you're going on this adventure with them. Mm-hmm. I definitely felt that the way that it's naturally progressing, the way Furiosa is just getting kind of worn down as time goes on, gets a little more desperate. The moment when she finds out that the green place they already passed and she breaks down in that sand. That's such a beautifully shot scene.
Yeah, it does. It shows that she's giving it her all to just get these women here, and also not just the women. It's to get herself there.
Yeah,
she's she's just looking for some hope. I don't know what's going to be in this prequel movie of Furiosa.
It's probably going to put a lot of backstory to where she's just trying to get home.
Yeah, that I don't know what she's gone through to this point.
Yeah.
All I know is that she's just
I don't know what Chris Hemsworth did to her.
I assume that she's gone through a lot at this point.
Yeah.
She's
especially
missing,
in a world like this.
She's missing an arm, for Christ's sake.
Yeah.
And so I think that it has just as much to do with her getting to this place, the green place, as it does getting the ladies there.
Now, complete derailment. Watching the storm scene in color or black and chrome, which was better?
Oh, color's better.
I 100%
Unfortunately, that was the first thing I thought. I was like, it'd be cooler if I could see it, because in black and white,
so many different colors.
Yeah, in black and white, you couldn't really see the detail of the lightning very well, and you couldn't really see, like, you don't get a good appreciation for, because it's hard in black and white when the guys are topless in white.
Exactly.
And they're going against the tornado, which is also kind of white.
Do you know why they're white?
The guys?
The war boys?
I assume. I don't know, actually. Why?
Mainly because they're just trying to be in the image of Immortal Joe. Mm-hmm. But
a
Morton Joe. That white powder is just like for a healing thing.
I figured, because they blow it on him at the beginning.
Yeah,
so they're
he's
just
got boils and cancer and shit.
They're just mimicking it.
Exactly.
Right? Well, and then they all do because they like sanitation is not a thing there. They like
Not
health
anymore.
is not that. You'll eat whatever.
Exactly.
You'll drink whatever, and so you'll have tumors and growths and whatnot.
Yeah.
Like, and so I really liked that scene at the beginning when Immortan Joe pushes on the water and then he cuts it off and he's like, "Do not become addicted to water, my friends, otherwise it will control you," or something like that. And it's just kind of interesting watching how. Not interesting. I think that's a really good part of his character that shows how somebody, when resources are very limited, he rose to this point of not just necessarily the warlord that oversees them, but like kind of like the god figure. And so he behaves in that manner also. And so I thought it was a cool touch to his character. I think it showed a lot about what he was and how he viewed himself.
I definitely like that detail too.
Yeah. They just did a really good job with the movie. I
want to watch it again in color though.
I also want to watch it again in color. I, for some reason, based on the guy who helps them, the one who originally the blood bag, Nuts.
No, Nux.
Nux, yeah.
Yeah.
Nux, I think he's such a good
Nicholas
character.
Hoult?
Yeah, he's such a good character.
Honestly, yeah. I really liked him too.
Well, because you also get to see and something that I think did a really good job as an homage to his character is as he starts to gain more of his humanity back, he starts to lose the white paint and he starts to become more in color.
That was a really good transition.
Yeah, and you really get to see that because when he finally actually goes and he's like, "Witness me," and you're like, "Yeah, like
God, that's so good."
that." I forgot how heavy that scene was, and dude, it's just you're just like, man, poor guy. Like he grew up in only this and knew only this. Of course, he believes all of Immortan Joe's nonsense.
Yeah,
and so it was just
I live, I die, I live again.
It's so good. They did the story makes this movie just as good as anything. That's what I think we miss in a lot of the movies now today.
Yeah,
is the story is just bonkers. Like you listen to the writing in Skyscraper that we were just listening to, and so like they go through this first bit here where the guy, and it's just because it's just clunky writing. It doesn't like you need to put a little bit more into it than I'm gonna pull this gun on you. You make a mistake, what happens to you? You get a nice life, and I make a mistake, what happens to me? And it's just like he's just going into like I don't know. There was no bridge or seance or nuance to it. It was just like
exactly.
It was just like, no, I'm just upset that I'm working for billionaires and living a nice life. Like, well, I just don't get it. So for me, that like there's a difference between good writing and bad writing, and having movies where you get some really solid character building and solid world building. That's why I like sci-fi. I not all, but they do. Most seem to be really going in a good lane where it's like, man, you guys like,
definitely have some diamonds in the rough.
Yes, sci-fi is much more about the environment and world building. I'm not calling this necessarily sci-fi. This is definitely post-apocalyptic, which I love.
But it's still fiction.
Yeah.
It's still fiction.
Yeah, I love that post-apocalyptic because you can build a world of any kind, and like Book of Eli, they did, which is essentially this. They're fighting over water. They're like, but Immortan Joe is going after a human being. Well, like
the human being is the Bible in this one.
Mm-hmm, yeah. Well, and so I just think that when it comes to this, Tom Hardy did a really good job of portraying like his character, how he was supposed to be.
Oh yeah,
just kind of this crazy fighter.
So about Tom Hardy with this, because there was a lot of information about this whole movie.
Mm-hmm. Well, we'll get into that a little later. But do you think that Tom Hardy actually did a good job as portraying the character?
I think he did. I really want to see more. And it's not like I need a direct continuation, because one thing that I was reading was kind of describing it as these are adventures that Max has been on. And so you'll like, this is the story of this one. And then you'll have, this is the story of that one.
I'd like to get another story.
I really want to get another story. Mm-hmm. Did you know?
Instead, they're giving us Furiosa. So I'm torn on it. But I'd like to get Mad Max.
But here's the thing. The future of the Mad Max franchise rests solely on this one.
If it does well?
If Furiosa does well, we will get 2 more.
Of Mad Max or
Correct.
Furiosa?
Of Mad Max.
Okay, cool.
And it'll be shot like your standard Western, like, adventure of the week type of thing.
See, this is
When I
why-
say adventure of the week, I mean like Fury Road would
Fury
be
Road.
Fury Road would be the adventure of the week. This week it's this one type of thing. It's just like on Max's mad, journey. This is a story in it.
I like that idea a lot, and I get why, but actually no, it makes perfect sense, and we'll go down it in the breakdown of why it's so female driven. Hopefully we get. I want a Mad Max. I want a Mad Max.
I do too.
I love
But
Tom Hardy. He
now
does
with all the
action well.
female stuff, like I didn't think it was overbearing.
No. And I think there's only a couple movies that have done that well. Also,
Yeah.
like Annihilation. Is that what it is with?
With Natalie Portman.
Yeah. That did not feel in your face like we're women queens and stuff.
Dude,
like
holy
that. Like,
Christ! That moment when the girl turns into the vines.
Yeah, that's a crazy movie. That is a different story on the CGI.
Fuck.
That's a much different direction, but they do it very well.
That one actually kind of hit me.
We should do that movie. I want to see that. We should just do women movies, dude, and
Dude,
but the ones we like.
I would love that segment. That'd be great.
We can watch
Prey.
Annihilation. We'll watch Prey, and I'll
one's getting a
watch
sequel.
Black Swan alone. And then you know exactly what I'm talking about. Yeah.
I've actually never seen Black Swan, but Hoku has, and I know exactly what you're talking
Yeah,
about.
I'll watch it alone.
So getting back on the whole Mad Max thing, in 2015, Tom Hardy signed on for 3 more films.
God, I want that so bad. And he's young enough to be able. Well, they can actually. This is actually something that they should have done as well. And I'll save it for the breakdown.
Okay.
But he could have been older, and then it would have been fine. But now that he's getting older,
Yeah, because there were some details about his costume that were kind of like Easter eggs or nods to the other ones.
well, he is physically younger. He's physically younger, and so he did not look like he. If this was continuity wise good, he would have been like in his 50s, and he did not look like that. Nowadays,
No,
though,
you're right. Because if it's after Thunderdome, then he would have had gray in his hair and all
and
things
wrinkles
like
and like
Yeah,
age
yeah.
and stuff. And Tom Hardy was just too young.
I
And so,
I had heard that it was before the second one.
no, it was supposed to be within this line because here's the thing.
Because he has the knee brace.
This is the quintessential part.
Uh-huh.
Is the fact that Furiosa has only ever known the war-torn world. Max has known the world prior. He was a cop. He had
Yeah.
a family. He was a
Yeah.
full-grown adult. For that to be the case, Furiosa, for her to be in her 30s, he would have to be in his 50s.
In the
and
movie-
they did not look like that.
In the movie, she said she's been away for 7,000 days. Quick math, beep boop bop. That's about 19 years. I already looked that up
I
earlier.
thought so. I was like, wow, I was like, whoa, dude.
So 19 years, but if she has memories of being taken, we'll have to wait till we watch Furiosa to see.
You can
how
ballpark her
old.
to be about 10, but the synopsis that I read, she was supposed to be in her 30s.
In her 30s, but
Yeah.
like, are we talking 31 or are
Well,
we
it
talking
would-
37?
It wouldn't matter because Max also looked in his 30s. Like it wasn't. He
Now,
did not look in his
in
50s.
the first one,
Even if he was in his 40s, that would be too young.
Mel does look very young. So
he is.
how old is Max in that? Because if he's only 22,
He's supposed to be in like 25 or 26 like that. Like I said,
I'm gonna Google that really quick,
there's
just because I want to know.
Yeah, the specific thing is there's a 45-year difference between this movie and when the last one picks off, and so that like later on,
45-year difference
yeah, that was
of when what?
of when the last Mad Max movie,
Thunderdome?
yeah, and
45
this movie.
years.
Yeah, there's like a 45-year difference.
How fucking old is
in the
Max?
continuity? That's the point. He wouldn't have. He would have been in like his 50s.
No, he would have been way older than that because in Thunderdome he had gray hair and everything.
Yeah, so that's what I mean. Like he just would have had to have been older, and so the big thing was a few things that I read said he was supposed to be in his 50s, dude. I didn't look into it farther than that. Besides the fact the little parts where they talked about it, where it's like, yeah, actually he doesn't look like he's in his 50s. He doesn't look that much older than her. They look damn near close to the same age.
I know.
And so that's so,
Charlize.
So now if they redid it and they had to have an older Max, it would work because he's
Okay.
older now.
So exactly what I was thinking to where this would kind of work. If in the first one, the very first one, Mel Gibson was 22 when he was filming.
Yeah, Mel Gibson was 22. That does not mean Max, the character, was 22.
No. But why would we then just make up like, oh, I'm going to be a different age?
Spider-Man. Sam Raimi.
Yeah, whatever. But this was
That's the that case in point.
no that case.
Open and shut case.
Case in point. Yeah, whatever.
I
but
need a
like
triangle to ring when I
So-
win. So
we can. Why would we not be able to say his character is the same age? Why does he have to be someone older?
it's just I'm not the one who says this. The fandom is.
What fandom are you reading? Because the fandom I just Googled is saying that if Mel Gibson is 22, it's safe to say his character is the same age.
As Furiosa.
No. In the first Mad Max
Yes.
movie with Mel Gibson.
Yeah. Why is to say he's not the same age?
No,
you
it's
can-
safe to say that he's the same age.
I mean, yeah, but dude, I'm just saying. Literally everything else I read did
No,
not.
so
say
what
that.
I'm trying to I know, but this was when I Googled Mad Max's age in the movie. Mel Gibson was 22 when the original Mad Max was filming. We can say his character was the same age. So in Road Warrior, he'd be 25 and still about Gibson's age. But in Beyond Thunderdome, he'd be 40, even though Gibson himself was 28 at the time of filming. And so if this is supposed to be 40 years after Thunderdome, then he would be 80 something.
Something like that. Yeah.
There's no way that this would
but
have to be like.
At the end of the day, this is the problem with it is that you can't continuity wise. You're trying to figure out this thing, and you're like, dude, we're all just guessing. If we all want to universally agree that he was that age, which I can promise you that's not the common consensus, is that.
So some sources say that he's 23 in the year of 1997, 26 in the year of 1999.
They say some sources.
Some sources.
Because again, he has a whole.
I just say some sources because Mad Max game.fandom.com or you've got Reddit.
That's what I went off of, Reddit. Because this is my only point to that is it's Reddit, dude. Like everybody's on Reddit.
In Fury Road, it is estimated that Furiosa is anywhere from 24 to 30 years of age. Mm-hmm. So not necessarily in her 30s, but
yes, but if it was still, and again, this is the ultimate problem with it, continuity wise.
I know. I'm trying to figure this out.
There's
I am going to figure this out,
but you
for the first time in history.
But you can't. Yeah, okay. I'm sure you're gonna get to the bottom of it.
Right now on the first page of Google, I'm getting to the bottom of this.
Hey, dude, get to it. Get to it. I would just read the top article and just
figure it out,
call
dude.
it fact, dude.
I'm just gonna figure it out.
We are also now at 22 minutes of this.
Okay.
Do you want to go into the breakdown?
Well, we can say.
Do you have other stuff to say?
As of right now, top 5 favorite movies of all time. I think it's top 3 greatest movies ever made.
Interesting.
Morbius is up there.
Wow,
Madam Web, obviously. Let's go 2024.
Jesus. Lord Almighty.
I never even saw Madam Web.
Neither did I. And I will not.
No, why would I waste my time?
I will
that?
boycott that movie.
I will watch breakdowns that are 4 times as long, but I will not watch that
I will
movie.
not sit down to watch the movie. Yeah, honestly, if I really had to put it in there, I'd say maybe top 10. I'd give it a top 10.
Yeah. Something more realistic. I would definitely. Greatest movies ever made, just because, man, like, over 80% of it was practical effects. Mm-hmm. All the sand traps, all the explosions, all the cars. Frickin' Immortan Joe's vehicle was a fully functioning, drivable car that could be heard for miles. I think it's easily in the top 10.
If you're talking
maybe
about
even
just,
number 8.
If you're talking about just concepts of production, what it took to make it, totally.
Yeah.
I would argue that too. And that's kind of what I judge a lot of these movies on. What did you do with what you were given? And they did so much with what they had. Like, and again, they filmed in just a desert. They filmed in just a desert.
I think that if Mel Gibson was in this one, it would not have been good.
No.
He would have made it too much about himself.
Yeah, it would have been a little bit too racist, I think.
It would have been a little racist.
Yeah, it would have been a little bit too racist. But
it would have been like, why haven't you seen The Passion of the Christ yet? Instead of Mad Max.
Which I haven't seen that, and I would actually.
Have you never seen Passion of the Christ?
I have not, and I've always wanted to. I've always wanted to.
So I have. You want to know my basic thought of that movie. I saw it in my
Sure.
adult life.
Sure.
It's weird because it is a 2-hour movie of a dude getting tortured.
Okay.
You're
Oh.
you're watching the whipping scenes,
Oh wow. Interesting.
and they do it so well.
Wow. I gotta watch this movie.
That is why every single Christian back then was like, this is the heaviest movie I've ever seen in my entire
well, because you're
life.
watching a dude get tortured. In 2 hours.
Exactly.
It's slower Saw. I don't like what else do you want? Yeah, it's interesting because I watched.
Message aside, the whipping is the hardest part about that movie.
Interesting. Well, because I was watching I watched the Joe Rogan Experience with Mel Gibson and his dad, but it don't really.
And his dad.
Yeah, and Mel Gibson's dad has a neurological disease, and so
I would actually
he's
really
losing
like to watch that
He's
episode.
losing his mind, and you can just really understand why when you are experiencing watching him with his father, you just there's things that click, and it's like, oh wow, it's not. I mean, it's
Because I've never hated Mel Gibson.
No. I'm again why, but when you're thrust into fame like that, you cannot grade them on the same perspective that you would grade a normal, rational person.
Yeah.
They're not going to behave rationally in
And
any
Lord
situation.
knows what kind of information they're being fed on their daily lives.
That's exactly right. And so I don't know. I look at that a lot differently than I did when I was younger. When you see these celebrity freakouts, you're like, well, dude, like, there's just so much going on.
Tobey
with that.
Maguire.
Yeah, dude. There's just, I'm not saying they're good or bad people. I'm just saying it's just more understandable when you really think about
The fact that Daniel Radcliffe isn't just some heroin addict on the streets.
Yeah. That's again because when you're thrust in
Emma
that kind
Stone,
of fame,
or not Emma Stone, Emma Watson.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that she was able to get through everything that she endured,
Yeah.
being over-sexualized at such a young age,
Mm-hmm.
just because she existed. That, like, I mean, you know, she's married to herself now, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But
yeah, dude, she's a super feminist. Super.
and so,
feminist.
did she come out of it normal? Whatever.
Maybe not. It's up
But
to
she's not a
debate.
heroin addict dead in the
no.
street.
I thought, I don't know, how would I waited until she was out of the Harry Potter movies to sexualize her. So I think that was probably
That was-
better. I just want to say that I
The
think
only
that
reason I did that was because I didn't care about Harry Potter and didn't watch it till it was done.
that's not true. I loved it. I watched it in the midst of it. I know we don't view it the same, but it's such a well-written story.
No, dude.
Yeah, it's such a well-written
If you
story.
have a brain and you go through the Lord of the Rings, then you would know that Harry Potter just is. There's too many inconsistencies. It fails in comparison.
They're just two totally different stories. That's
But you use the word wizard, you put yourself in a category.
there's just so much
Is that?
differences in.
Am I wrong about that?
Because it's like you're like if you include Merlin in that, like it's just so.
Yeah.
It's-
And you bet your ass Merlin would get his shit pushed in by Gandalf.
Dude, they're just different types of wizards, dude. They're just not even the same. Like so. Anyway, that's my only point.
What do you?
is
Well,
my only point is that if you're looking at it as a story that's not part of the Lord of the Rings universe, it is a very well written story. Okay, and generally speaking, it's just because the authors like. I don't know. I just agree with her political views, I guess. So that's just,
yeah, I remember social media like
I'm just kidding.
exploded it. What I remember originally reading was she made just a singular comment, just an expression of opinion, as we're allowed to do in the United States of America.
100%.
And everybody blew that up into immediate transphobic hate speech.
Yeah. And I think that
That
was
is,
but
and I think that's an overreaction.
I'm a free speech absolutist. Even if you're saying stuff that I think is wrong, I think you should be allowed to say it.
The only thing that I think should be punishable by death is the fact of people talking about that they enjoy the sequel series, the sequel trilogy.
Yeah.
And you don't even need me to clarify what I'm talking about.
I do.
The moment I say
the Star
sequel
Wars
trilogy,
the Star Wars sequel trilogy. Yeah, it's pretty brutal. Galen. That's all I think about.
there's one thing about this era of Star Wars that drives me up a wall. in the Lego Skywalker saga, every time you load it up into the main menu, you hear Rey's voice with one specific line, and she says, no matter what, every time you load it up, when you skip the intro cinematic, it starts up with her saying, "I need someone to show me my place in all of this."
Lord Almighty. That's
What the
always.
Always.
Wow.
Why do you need someone to show you your place in all of this?
Because she's a weak, feeble.
But
Yeah,
she's the strongest Jedi ever made.
my vagina.
She's a Skywalker.
Yeah. No, my vagina.
So Mad Max did women right.
I agree.
I love this
Yeah,
movie.
that was
so
basically
much.
all it was. It's just. us
I
two
can't
going
wait
back
for
to it.
Furiosa.
I'm excited to see
I
it.
really
want to
watch it.
I'm gonna give it a shot.
There a couple. Do you want to just here? Hold on. Loose change.
Well, you need to give much more of a pause.
Do I
than
need
you
to give
just
my
did.
okay?
So we're done.
Well,
with
I mean,
this segment now.
you can cut.
We're done with
okay.
this segment now.
All right, goodbye, everybody. We're gonna go into the loose change segment.
This is all getting deleted. So.
What a day! What a lovely day! Riding to Valhalla! Witness me, blood!